Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today, including Edmonton Oilers GM Ken Holland, who's standing by, sponsored by Parker Marine. Make your boating experience the best it could be. For more information, visit parkermarine.ca. As we're joined now by Edmonton Oilers GM. It's our all GM show, by the way, Rick. Our yes. Edmonton Oilers GM Ken Holland. Ken, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
Good. Nice to be with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You signed Cody Ceci, Zach Hyman, re-signed Tyson Barrie. You trade for Duncan Keith. How would you describe your offseason, Ken?
I guess relatively busy. Obviously, wanted to do some things to try to make our team a little bit different. Hopefully it's better. We're going to find out here over the next 82 games if we did that. But a little more experience on the back end, and hopefully we've got some internal growth adds up to that we take a bit of a step.
What will Zach Hyman add to your team?
I think what he'll add is his character. He competes hard every night. He goes back checks. I think forecheck. Certainly, we'd like to be a little bit of a better forecheck team. He gets in and pursues pucks, and then in the offensive zone, he goes to the blue paint, and that's where the goals are scored, or that's where you got to be in order for, in my opinion, to if you want to score and your team score goals. So, more forechecking and in the net and more of a net front presence.
Hey Ken, Duncan Keith, the BC boy, you get him. Talk a little bit about what he can bring to you after so many great years in Chicago.
Well, after we lost, we had a good regular season last year. It was 56 games. We obviously got swept out by Winnipeg, and after, we went through our meetings and kind of assessed our team. I got a call from Stan Bowman saying that Duncan Keith wanted to be moved out west for a number of reasons. One was, personal. He wanted to be closer to his son, who's with his ex-wife in, I think, Penticton.
Yes.
And then the other thing is I think he wanted a fresh start with another team. So, we talked internally about it. I made a trade 20 years ago for a 37-year-old defenseman from Chicago, Chris Chelios, that worked out pretty good. I know it's 20 years later and times have changed and it's a younger league, but, he can still skate. He's obviously got a tremendous resume with Stanley Cups and Olympic gold and Conn Smythes and Norris trophies on his resume. So certainly he comes into the room and gives our room, a guy that's been there in all those situations in the past. And so from a leadership standpoint, he can be a guy that that our younger players can look up to. And I also hope and believe that, certainly his role here, Darnell Nurse is going to be our number one left shot defenseman and take on most of the responsibilities. And so his role will be, more in a secondary role on the second pair. So, certainly he's older at 37 years of age, but, he can skate and I'm hoping here with a new opportunity and a fresh start that he gets his juices flowing and he comes in here and plays real good for us.
Hey, Ken, I got to ask you about a kid that played here in Vancouver with the Giants, Tyler Benson. He's had 3 good years in the American League, but as Ken, at some point you got to make that jump to the National Hockey League. He's 23. He's going to require waivers to go back to the minors. Give us an update on where he is at, Tyler Benson, with you.
Well, as you say, I think he was an early second-round pick, and then he's had 3 real good years in the American Hockey League. He's obviously proved himself to be a top American League player. It's been obviously easier to send him to the minors the last couple of years because there was no waivers. We could send him down there. We could let him develop. Now there's waivers, and that's good for him. But he's also, he's got 3 years of pro under his belt. So, he's going to come into training camp. I'm hoping he can make our team. He did get a little bit of of a look a couple of years ago. 2 looks. He came up and played 2-3 games, and he looked a little bit like it was a bit much, and then he came back a couple of months later. I think he played 6 games and looked real comfortable, and it's now a year later. So going to give him every opportunity here in training camp. He's going to play lots of preseason games. I'd say he's probably got to play his way off the team. I've kind of got him. I've got him penciled in on the roster. Now you've got to go out and you've got to do it in preseason, and you got to I call it taking somebody's job, because there are guys competing for NHL spots. So he's done everything he can to this point in time. The last 2 summers, he spent all summer in the gym here in Edmonton, and I believe he's ready to come in and earn a spot.
We're talking with Ken Holland. Ken, you're an old goaltender. What's your confidence level like in Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith?
Well, it's good. I mean, obviously, I re-signed. Mike Smith had a great year for us last year. And again, I know he's 39, but there's lots of goalies that. You think of Fleury. What is he? 37, and he won the. He was the best goalie in the league last year. So it's there's certainly. I understand fans and media focus in on the age, but he didn't look his age last year. And I also understand that our schedule was a little bit different. The road games were 2 games in one city, and it was less travel. So it's a regular season is much harder. But certainly Mike Smith is a big part of our team, and our goaltending in the 2 years that I've been here has been, other than the one that we played the play-in series against Chicago a couple of years ago, and I didn't think our goaltending played as well as we needed to be, but the whole team was loosey-goosey, and I don't think we were ready for the moment. But other than that, I think our goaltending in tandem, they both play about 50% of the games. They feed off of one another. We don't. The coach doesn't wear anybody out. I think our goaltending has been good for us the last couple of years. I look for it to play solid for us this year again.
Hey, Ken, what's it like being Connor McDavid's boss, and do you sense any frustration from him and or Leon Draisaitl regarding the lack of playoff success?
Well, certainly I feel very, very I've been around the league for a long time. I mean, Connor's the most talented player that I've had the pleasure to be a manager of. I mean, to watch him on an everyday basis it's incredible. So certainly feel very fortunate to have him and Leon. They're special players, but we got some other, Darnell Nurse is a special guy, and we've got some other good players there. But I think everybody here is a little bit disappointed. Now, 3 years ago, what they won the first round of the playoffs, they lost in the second round to Anaheim, then they missed the playoffs, and then the last 2 years, I think we've been sort of in the mix for the playoffs, and then we had, like I said, a disappointing series against Chicago. I thought last year the series with Winnipeg was real even. We got swept, but 3 games went to overtime. We got to learn from that. Connor's 24. It's not like he's 34. He's 24. He's just coming into his prime. Leon's 25. Darnell's 26. But certainly, I think we all understand here that the time to try to be a playoff team, and more than a playoff team, is now. Certainly, that's why we talked about the moves that I made went out this summer. I mean, we made multiple moves. Obviously, Hyman, and traded Bear for Fogle, and overhauled the defense, brought Cody Ceci and Duncan Keith, and re-signed Tyson Barrie, who was here for 1 year and led the defenseman in scoring. So. We're hoping that we can build on that, but we know we've got to get better and as an organization, and hopefully some of the moves we did in the off season is gonna help. But we know it's an 82 game grind, and you got to play your way into the top 16 to try to prove yourself all over again.
Ken, so many hockey experts, including ourselves, say the Pacific Division isn't all that strong. 2 playoff spots they're giving to Vegas and to the Edmonton Oilers. What do you say? What goes through your mind when you hear that?
I sort of chuckle. I think that's people that aren't. You're not close enough to the action every day to understand how hard it is to win games in this league. And even the teams that miss the playoffs, they lose lots of games by a goal. So you gotta. It's a real close. The salary cap was put in place for competitive balance, obviously for business reasons, but the salary cap has made the league very, very tight, tighter than it's ever been probably in 100 years. And only 16. The league has expanded from 21 teams to 32. 16 out of 21 used to make it. Now 16 out of 32 make it. So it's hard to make the playoffs. You got to play at a high level for 6 months. So we know we got to prove ourselves all over again, starting on game one when we play the Canucks, and you got to find a way to play your way into the top, the top 8 in the West or the top 4 in your division.
Ken, I know your time's tight. Thanks for making time for us today. We really appreciate it. Best of luck.
Thanks, guys.
Ken Holland, Edmonton Oilers GM. He makes the point about Chris Chelios, and in comparing him to the acquisition of Duncan Keith. A lot of people thought that didn't make a whole lot of sense, but Chelios was picked up in his mid-30s by Ken Holland with Detroit. Played 10 seasons with Detroit. Won a couple of cups there, and if I'm not mistaken, 01-02 was the best plus-minus player in the entire National Hockey League. Well into his career as an aged veteran. So that's what Ken's thinking here with the acquisition of Duncan Keith. And remember, he won't have the responsibilities like he would have in Chicago. Darnell Nurse is your number one left-handed defenseman. They're paying him enough, so it makes a little more sense when you hear Ken talk.
I agree.
All right, Is It Just Me is coming up. We thank Ken Holland again. Thanks for joining us, folks. Donnie and Dolly, the team. On check.
Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by AbleAuctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.